In today's video, we are going to talk about nutrition for toddlers and babies or infants. We're going to talk about dietary puritanical extremism. And we're also going to touch on fiber, whole grains, breast milk, birthday cake, and the McDouble. And we're going to do this utilizing a seemingly innocuous story about a paleo baby and her mom, Shannon Cooper. All that in about 20 minutes or so. Let's see if I can do it this time. Satisfaction guaranteed, or you can have your money back. What's up, family? It's your boy Danny, back, fresh in the flesh.
Ready for the next episode.
Reminding you once again that you are beautiful, capable, and strong, which means you are good enough for whatever fate cooks up and sends your way. And you're gonna stay that way because you are gonna eat meat, move weight, and you definitely ain't gonna freak out about your diet and do stupid shit. If this is your first time here and you want to learn how to make sense of your experience, and you want to learn how to Pareto optimize your whole friggin' life, well, stick around and find out. Rolling. Okay, first up is Paleo Baby. All right, there's two stories, links in the description down below. I'm gonna go off my notes though, so you might have to look around to figure out where I'm quoting in the story. But here we go. Anyway, an Australian mother named Shannon Cooper, or Shan, we're gonna call her, that's what she likes to go by, has said that her daughter Grace, who was born in 2015, has never eaten a processed carbohydrate and is on the paleo diet. Wow. But one expert said that they don't recommend the diet for an infant. Oh no, an expert! We can ignore Shan's never eaten a processed carb puritanism for now, and you'll see why later. The girl, who was 13 months old when her mother, Shan Cooper, gave an interview to the Daily Mail, eats meat, fish, eggs, fruit, and vegetables. Yeah, those are all foods. The diet bans grains and dairy products and allows only foods that a caveman could scavenge for, the Mail noted. Yes, paleo and paleo-adjacent dieters like myself don't take too kindly to regular and profuse or excessive grain consumption. Dietitians hate that about us. I promise you though that cavemen weren't scavenging their local Safeway for Vital Farms pastured eggs, high-fat Greek yogurt, whole milk, and the 3 for $12 mix and match fruit bowls, okay? Despite that, these things are in fact paleo. Cooper said that her infant daughter has only been sick one time. Oh my God, I hate those claims. And loves it, referring to the diet, of course, not being sick. Cooper claimed that her daughter spends a lot of time around other kids who are sick all the time, who have snotty noses, coughs, colds, but she just doesn't pick it up. It's certainly not because I'm shielding her from any of that, she said. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, but I bet her LDL, her daughter's LDL's through the roof. Here's the obligatory dietitian knocks the paleo diet comment I've been waiting for, however. A dietitian named Dr. Rosemary Stanton said that she doesn't recommend the diet that Cooper's daughter is following, Cooper's daughter Grace. It's really not usually a good idea to put a child on such a restricted diet. Note the word there, restricted. Particularly when there's no valid grounds for it, she said. I'm assuming that would mean a gluten intolerance or gluten allergy. She said, adding that depriving, note the word there, her child of grains and legumes will make it much more difficult for her to achieve a balanced diet. Legumes are beans, for those of you that don't know. But balanced according to who? According to what criteria? Who or whom? Balanced according to whom? Restricted? Deprived though? Really? The primary difference between the paleo diet and other healthy diets is the absence of whole grains and legumes, which are considered good sources of fiber, vitamins, and other nutrients. Also absent from the diet are dairy products, which are good sources of protein and calcium, the website says. These foods are not only considered healthy, but are also generally more affordable and accessible than foods such as wild game, grass-fed animals, and nuts. For some people, a paleo diet may be too expensive. Okay, whole grains. Firstly, good is always and everywhere a relative term. Good for who? For whom? No, good for who? To achieve what end compared to what? Whole grains and legumes are inferior sources of vitamins, minerals, protein, and other nutrients when compared to literally almost any animal product for literally almost any person for literally almost any reason other than the fact that you're a vegan and you don't want to eat meat or animal products. Whole grains and legumes, okay? They're inferior for most of us. Consequently, I'm struggling to follow how eliminating whole grains and legumes from your diet creates a problem, whether you're a toddler, especially if you're a toddler, as we'll find out below, in about 15 minutes, let's review Grace's typical breakfast. Breakfast are eggs fried in coconut oil, scrambled or even poached, leftover vegetables from the night before, including roasted sweet potato, carrots, potatoes, and steamed broccoli. Are you telling me that she's missing something here, Grace, because she isn't eating grains? Should she be eating cereal in the morning instead of eggs so that she can get them heart-healthy whole grains? Lucky Charms, for instance? Restricted? Deprived? Go f*** yourself. Second, literally nobody, and I mean literally nobody, eats whole grains outside of the context of an ultra-processed food. Wheat by itself, right, actual wheat, is incredibly nutrient dense. I've never seen a single person, however, eat a big old bowl of wheat, though, or millet, or amaranth, or barley, or sorghum. If you send me pictures of that, right, I'm gonna have to explain to you how Photoshop works, because people don't do that. Nobody does this shit in the grocery store or in real life. The only bulk shit they buy is candy and nuts in the Winco bulk aisle, okay? Nobody runs through this process that I'm gonna link to or flash on the screen in their head, okay? They don't go into the grocery store and go, is whole grain the first ingredient? And any whole grain as the first ingredient, are added sugars not being one of the first three ingredients in the list? Is the word whole in front of the grain in question? Is there a total carbohydrate to fiber ratio of less than 10 to 1? Is the industry-sponsored whole grain food stamp on there? Which, by the way, I'm going to flash that because you've never even seen that before. You have seen the words whole grain, but you haven't seen the whole grain stamp that, is an industry-sponsored stamp. No one fucking does that. No one, okay? And according to this article, consumers should steer towards whole grain foods that are high in fiber, that have few ingredients in addition to whole grain. Why don't just buy the grain? Moreover, eating whole grains in their whole forms, like I'm telling you, go ahead if you want to. That's rat food, but whatever. Such as brown rice, barley, oats, corn, and rye are healthy choices because they pack the nutritional benefits of whole grains without any additional ingredients. Yes, but
nobody does that.
Not in real life, IRL. People, yes, they sometimes eat actual steel-cut, old-fashioned whole grain oatmeal in the morning instead of those instant oatmeal packets filled up with sugar. Congratulations, oatmeal is not paleo. There, I said it, I meant it. I'm not sorry, get over it. That said, if you want to eat a bowl of real oatmeal with a scoop of protein and some paleo toppings on it in the morning, you have my approval, if that means anything to you. Make sure you throw some real maple syrup on that bad boy too. You'll still get my stamp of approval even with the maple syrup. Feel free to go wild if it don't tear your stomach up. By the way, go wild if it don't tear your stomach up is one of the best parts about being paleo adjacent instead of paleo Puritan or puritanical paleo. However, if you're doing it every damn day, or doing the microwave packets that are filled up with sugar, the apple cinnamon or whatever flavor you prefer, brown sugar, maple and brown sugar, because you're too lazy to scramble some eggs or make some bacon, you've got a bigger issue. Get your shit together.
Well then get your shit together. Get it all together and put it in a backpack. All your shit, so it's together.
For the overwhelming majority of people, however, whole grains is a bowl or two of Lucky Charms or Cinnamon Toast Crunch, toast with jam, or jelly. Jelly's fruit, right? Jam's fruit. And a bag of microwave popcorn, okay? And here's a guy who literally wrote a piece called In Defense of Whole Grains, and here's him talking about all the benefits of whole grains and all the big bowls of buckwheat and sorghum that he eats. I typically eat 2 slices, and I quote, of whole grain toast in the morning, topped with olive oil or peanut butter, oh, I suppose that's way better than jam, to cover off on the 2 of the servings, to cover off 1 or 2 of the servings, I guess he's trying to say. And then I try to add in some brown rice, some quinoa, some corn, or some whole grain pasta for lunch or dinner. Wow, dude, you're really shooting for the stars there. Oatmeal is another easy option to start your day with whole grains. And popcorn, unflavored and without added salt, yeah, right, is an incredibly simple whole grain snack. Seriously though, did you know that Pop Secret is made with 100% non-GMO whole grains? For the overwhelming majority of people, whole grains are not fancy vegetarian grain bowls filled up with lentils and millet and carrots and tofu and topped off with a low-fat vinaigrette dressing. That's just not how it works, okay? For the overwhelming majority of people, whole grains are synonymous with ultra-processed foods. And that's a real problem that we're going to talk about next week. Thirdly, I think we're doing a list right now. Dairy is paleo. There, I said it. I meant it. I'm not sorry. Get over it. Legumes are just an inferior pseudo-meat. However, dairy is also a pseudo-meat, but it is a pseudo-meat that is not inferior to actual animal flesh. So, go wild if it don't tear your stomach up. Lastly, the real kicker. For some people, a paleo diet might be too expensive, she says. I'm sorry, ground beef, eggs, rice, whole milk, and the 3 for $12 mixed berry bowls at Safeway are too expensive, especially for people with a SNAP card. Name a cheaper way to get everything that you need from the grocery store, nutrition-wise. Puritanical extremism. You can really see it highlighted, the difference that is between paleo and vegan types, in what Shan says right here. Literally highlighted, because I'm actually going to highlight it for you and put it on the screen. I'm not going to not let her go to kids' parties. She's saying she is going to let her go. She's going to go to kids' parties, see, I told you, and eat what's there. I'm never going to go to Grace. You can't eat anything at this party, but I packed you some kale. Here you go, sweetie. And that's all you really need to know about the difference between paleo types and vegan types. This is exactly, in fact, why atheists, vegans, and sometimes CrossFitters are intolerable AF. Because they tend to be puritanical extremists who can't moderate themselves. She'll probably come home jacked up on sugar and cake and say, "Mom, I don't feel very well." The next time, instead of eating 12 cupcakes, she might only eat 3. I don't want there to be any disordered eating around food. Females particularly have enough problems with eating disorders. I want Grace to eat what makes her feel good. That's the reason I eat this way. I don't think that eating a piece of bread is going to kill me. When I go out to dinner with friends, I'm just going to eat what's on the menu. I'm not going to be a jerk about it. She'll also learn what makes her feel good and what doesn't. And not feel good in the immediate hedonic impact sense that accompanies anticipatory and or consummatory reward, but feel good in the sense of nothing tastes as good as being happy, healthy, and sexy feels. That kind of feel good. Although Shan's daughter's a little girl, so she doesn't exactly feel sexy yet, but you know what I'm saying. This, by the way, is the exact kind of moderation that even Saladino, man, I cannot get over the fact that he has salad in his name, that even Saladino types end up embracing ultimately. And let's not forget our nearly vegan family, Denise Menger. Those vegan types also end up embracing the exact same kind of moderation from the other direction. And although moderation isn't quite the right word, we're going to explore that in a different video as well. Anyway, big ups to Denise. Read her book. Whereas many extremist vegans can't even bring themselves to eat oysters, which would be the single most important thing they could do for themselves health-wise and the environment, most paleo types will tell you or people that they're coaching to just go ahead and eat the goddamn birthday cake, okay? Now, the long march through the institutions that vegetarian and vegan dietitians have made is pretty much undeniable. I don't like making broad and sweeping generalizations. You know that about me if you watch my channel, but in this case, I'm gonna make an exception. Dietitians are basically a group of covert vegetarians that work for Big Ag. Respected dietitian Rosemary Stanton said that she would definitely a sound of caution. I think that should be sound a word of caution. That was a mistake in the piece itself. To other mothers considering following Miss Cooper down her path. It's really not usually a good idea to put a child on such a restricted diet, particularly when there's no valid grounds for it, she told Daily Mail Australia. So I got to thinking and started wondering why she would say this about such a healthy diet and clearly such a relaxed mom. So I went to her Twitter account and lo and behold, look what I found. Here, I hearted it for her. Then I found this. Dr. Stanton said she hoped Miss Cooper knows an awful lot about nutrition and was concerned about the lack of grains and legumes in the diet. Good Lord, I get it. Depriving her child of grains and legumes will make it much more difficult to achieve a balanced diet, she said. Here's a picture of little Grace today, Shan's daughter, which is a few years after the article was written, obviously, 6 years or so. I don't know. She looks pretty healthy and balanced to me with no signs of any deficiencies. And beauty and health justify themselves. They radiate. Miss Cooper said that she bristles at criticism of her daughter's healthy diet. She doesn't understand, or she's asking why people who regularly feed their children unhealthy food are not being told to tread lightly. Why eating real food is such a scandalous topic is just bizarre, she said. Have you ever heard an Australian girl say bizarre? It's awesome. Asking why people take their children to McDonald's for dinner are not being given the same advice or a warning at the door. If you want to feed your kid one of the most nutrient-void pieces of crap ever, knock your socks off, she said. I'm not going to internet troll you. You do the right thing you think for your kid. Why do people think it's offensive to eat a plate of vegetables over a piece of bread? That's bizarre. I agree. It's totally bizarre. Except for that said, the McDouble is actually one of the most nutrient-dense things you could ever eat on the planet for your money. And dissing the McDouble around me is likely to start a riot. McDoubles and water, like if that's all people could have, that would probably literally solve the obesity crisis just by itself, if that's all you had access to. Moving on to vegan babies. I got a question. Did Dr. Rosemary Stanton, respected dietitian, sound a word of caution to these vegan parents? Or these vegan parents? Or these vegan parents? Or this vegan mother? Of course not. She was probably super excited by all the grains, the heart healthy whole grains they were feeding their kids. Are there vegan kids that are doing okay? Yeah. Are there crazy paleo people? Yeah. Although that last couple probably wasn't paleo, but you know, whatever. Don't be crazy. Anytime you feel like being crazy and feel like every little tiny thing that you do matters, just watch my life expectancy video, okay? Would you? That'll make you feel better about it. Moving on. Fiber. Notice something incredibly peculiar from this piece, which is also from The Conversation, which was where that piece where Rosemary Stanton basically expressed her vegetarianism or approval of it. Anyway, it's for balance. This piece says this is directly related to the issue of grains and cereals because of the fiber comment. This seems to have dominated today's video. Why vegan diets are for babies come with significant risks. Quote, their diet should comprise good sources of protein and fat mixed with vegetables, fruits, and cereals. Although not too much fiber because it can be too filling without providing enough nutrients. Not only are there anti-nutrients in grains, predominantly, or most predominantly, phytates and lectins, that prevent absorption of the good stuff, there's also fiber in it which tricks your body into early satiation, or the cessation of a meal. Therefore, you don't even have a chance to absorb enough stuff. Which means that grain, in a sense, is a house divided against itself. And we all know that a house divided against itself can't stand. Think about this. This is exactly why people typically extol the virtues of a fiber-heavy diet, like from vegetables and whole grains. Because in addition to preventing you from thinking impure thoughts and masturbating, it fills you up on something that doesn't provide enough nutrients relative to its weight, particularly energy in that situation. This can be an issue for infants that are weaned early or toddlers and put on a diet that is actually restrictive, whether that be a vegan diet or a paleo diet. There are unsafe paleo diets. Kids really do triple in size early, really quickly at this stage and need a fuck ton of fat and carbs to do that, right? In fact, infancy and toddlerhood, if you want to call it that, is the only time in your life that you absolutely must have carbohydrate. That's why there's a ton of fat and carbs in breast milk and absolutely zero fiber. Breast milk is an ultra-processed food, but it's one that I approve of. So breastfeed your kids, breastfeed your babies. Breast milk and chubby hubby. So there's two that I approve of. Okay, coming to the end here. Last up is the next installment of the shit I found on the internet. And today I was conflicted, but we're gonna go with this one. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen with no comment whatsoever. Okay, coming to the end here. There are a lot of links, again, per usual, in the show notes to various things, the essays, pieces that I've been talking about. I've been doing a really good job with the timestamps and that stuff, so I suggest you take advantage of it. It's your boy Danny, once again reminding you that you're beautiful, capable, and strong, and you're gonna stay that way without puritanical extremism or zealotry. And you're gonna do that because you're right, you're correct. And when you're correct, you don't feel relentlessly or desperately compelled to prove that to other people. You just know you are. You just be cool, like the fawns, right? See y'all in a couple of days. Chuck a deuce!